What is up, guys, and welcome back to another episode of the Road to Glory Career Mode. This is episode number 36 now, and when we kick this episode off, we just begin in the championship season. So I've got a few things I want to cover as well before I go into today's episode. Yesterday, we uploaded episode number 112 of the Career Mode, and that we played the Champions League final, and then I threw it over to you guys to vote which team you would like me to join at the end of the season. So that vote is still ongoing as you're watching this. It came out at 4 p.m. on Sunday. You have until 10 p.m. tonight on Sunday night to cast your vote in that. Then the poll will be closed and the results to come in. And then, of course, I'll do whichever team you guys suggest. So that was on yesterday's episode of the Career Mode. So go back and cast your vote if you haven't already. Of course, yesterday's episode of the Road to Glory Career Mode, we picked up the full unbeaten 46 league game campaign season. So that was good to see as well. And now we are into the championship. I asked you guys as well on yesterday's episode to leave me a lot of suggestions for players to buy. But as MGab FIFA has rightly pointed out, which I hope I've got your name right, bro, is he said basically with the board wanting me to get the profit out at the end of the season that I should hold on to my money and then hopefully come the end of the season that board objective will be done, meaning our manager rating will go back up. In which case, that was a very good point he made. He also said to go into the free agents and pick up anybody that was in there that I like the look of, which I've already done that, but it's a great suggestion nonetheless. So any of you guys out there who are doing a Road to Glory Career Mode, if you haven't checked out the free agents yet, go ahead and do them. You can get some pretty damn good deals. I think I picked one up in this episode, and there's one up in next episode as well. So pretty good there on that part. But as well, with you guys leaving suggestions for signings, I have added them to a shortlist, which I will show you the shortlist, not this episode, not tomorrow's episode, but possibly the episode after that, in which it involves a lot of your guys' suggestions. But of course, you have to take into account, guys, some of the people you guys have suggested, although their transfer value won't be a lot, their wages are. For example, someone suggested a Real Madrid holding midfielder. He looks really good, but the problem is, I could probably even afford his transfer value, but I can't afford the wages he's on. He's on around £70,000 a week at Real Madrid, so there's no chance he will take a massive pay cut to come and play for us and have first-team football. If he does, all credit to him. I will try and sign him, possibly not this season, maybe in the season afterwards, because I do want a really good holding midfielder to come into the club. And I think it's vital you have a good CDM in your team, otherwise, you know, sometimes the games can be a bit tough. Like, for example, Kante I had at Leeds. We obviously had Will Jackson at Leeds in the back part of the series. We had a few big-name CDMs, and I think CDM is a vital position. That's why Kante is in there in a lot of Ultimate Team teams as well. So we do need one for this series. I think as well, whichever team I join tomorrow in terms of the big career mode, let's call it that, the actual career mode that we do, not the Road to Glory one. Whichever team I have there, the first signing we'll look at is going to definitely be a centre defensive mid. So I want a similar type of position for this one. And a lot of you guys as well have been suggesting strikers and wingers and stuff. I personally don't see the need for a striker, but if one does take my fancy, I will go ahead and sign them. For example, Alexander Isak, which is something you guys have suggested so many times this series so far. If there is a possibility of me signing him, which at the moment, there's a slight bug going on in my game. I don't know why. Every time I click in to try and sign him for the transfer value, it keeps popping up and showing us that we can only sign him on loan, which is getting a bit annoying, really. But I will look into his signing possibly in the future. If it ever comes around that I need a striker, I have enough on the shortlist that you guys have already suggested. So, any suggestions you guys leave, please try and make them not strikers, because we've already got 4 strikers here at Hartlepool, and we don't particularly need any more. What I will say is, in terms of wingers, you can keep leaving them because, of course, we've got the likes of Inake still here, we've got Alvarez, we've got Thomas, and Alessandro will be leaving us at the end of the season. So possibly a right midfielder might be needed come the end of this season, in which case, leave your suggestions for wingers. It doesn't have to be a right midfielder, it can be like a left midfielder, and I'll just play him out on the right. I'm comfortable doing that. It can also be a left back or a right back that I can push up the field as well. I'm comfortable in doing that as well, but one of the signings we make here, Brandon Solly, left back, 20 years of age. I think he's Ashley Cole's regen. He's 6'4", got decent stats. He comes in on loan for 6 months. I tried to get him on a 2-year loan, then realised that his contract was up at the end of the season. But because he's under the age of 23, we will not be able to sign him on a pre-contract. So I unfortunately can't do that. And they wanted around 900,000, which I was prepared to pay. But at the time, I didn't know his overall, so I loaned him in to check what it was. It's actually 66 or around that mark. So in terms of that one, he's a decent left back. But I suppose we've already got, we've got Evandro, who's the one we got from the free agent, so I've actually sent out on loan because of the fact that we've just got Solly out in this one, so I sent him on loan for a year. We've also got Jake Carroll as well, still there. So if Carroll gets injured, I have the opportunity to recall Evandro from his loan. So that's completely fine with me. I can just recall him if I ever need him in the team, which is something that I like the way you can do that. You can send your players out on loan and recall them, of course, whenever you may need them. On top of that as well, guys, we've got so much to do in this series. We made a number of signings, and hopefully they'll do a good job for us. We've got 1 game to come in today's episode, and then hopefully back to normality tomorrow with 2 or possibly 3. I can't quite remember how many I played in that one, but because we're in the transfer window, I wanted to give you guys as much time as possible to leave your suggestions. Of course, if you want me to sign people on loan, like for example, a couple of you guys have asked me to sign Oxford on loan, to sign Emery Moore on loan, so I have added them to my shortlist, and I've inquired about them to see, or I scouted them, sorry, and inquired about them to see what sort of wages they're on, in which case, if they're on decent wages, I will be happily, I'll quite happily go in and get them on loan, because, you know, there's nothing stopping me do that, and that's one thing that I really like. If you can get a player on a 2-year loan, you have them effectively for 2 years, yes, you didn't pay any money for them. You might be paying a little bit in the wages, but at the end of the day, their wages are their contracts. They'll never ask for a higher contract because they are on their base salary that you've got them on loan. So for them 2 years, you have a player that could grow, could be good for you, and you're paying him a set wage for those 2 years. That's why loan deals are so good in Road to Glory career modes. On top of that, you have the likes of when you get your academies back, your academy players, your youth players all coming through the system. You know, the likes of Ollie Hill, Alvarez, Evandro, Azevedo. Now we've got obviously Bruno in goal. So these guys have come through the youth academy. And arguably, some of them are better players in the squad. I mean, you can see, I've showed you the league table there. There's the likes of Bournemouth that are in here with us, which is a crazy sight to see. You know, they're in a very, very dire situation over there. I don't know what happened with Eddie Howe and his team. In the situation that they are in, to be playing championship football against the likes of Hartlepool, we could be in for a tough season here in the championship. So I'm hoping we do quite well. But at the same time, as I said to you guys, I want to try and get straight out of the championship and into the Prem. But if we have to spend a season here just getting our foothold and getting used to the way things are and stuff like that, I will have to do that. But I went and got a Youth Academy Scout Future Star. Now, it came back, Mattia Russo here, or Russo, however you want to say it, only 44 rated. Now, the problem here is, the chances are he is never, ever, ever going to feature in the Hartlepool team. At 44 overall, to be a Scout Future Star, that's bad, in my opinion. That is really bad. So, you remember the first one we got, Ollie Hill? He's doing works for us right now in the Championship, and of course, after last season, League 1. I am going to calculate as well, guys, how many games we went unbeaten in League 2 to get to this point as well, because it'd be interesting to see, actually, if we can see how many games we were unbeaten in League 2, add it to the 46 league games that we were unbeaten last season, and see how wrong our run is currently on. So, I'll try and do that for next episode if I remember to do so, but one thing to note as well is that you've got to look at the fact that, although he's come in, this left-back here, for the Scout Future Star, we've got the likes of Evandro, who's already a higher overall, and around a similar, I guess he's a little bit, you know, in terms of age, he's a little bit more, but he's not too much more. And in all honesty, guys, I would prefer Evandro due to the fact that he has a better weak foot, he's got better, you know, stats all around the board, and we picked him up for free. So in my opinion, the Scout Future Star that we've just got there is never, ever going to feature in this Hartlepool team. James Bishop, guys, as I said, you can get some nice deals out of the free agent, so we went ahead and we looked in there and we picked up a 69 rated centre-back, 18 years of age, 6'2". He's got a 5-star weak foot. I'll show you him now in more detail because I will check out the signings we've made currently in the form of Solly, him, and of course the left-back from the Youth Academy. So Solly comes in, there he is. He is, of course, I think Ashley Cole's regen, 6'4". He's got a 5-star weak foot as well. Low medium work rates, not too bad on him as well. He's a very, very decent left-back to come in at 66 overall. He's the same rating as Jake Carroll, and that's the reason why I sent Evandro out on loan, because we have 2 left-backs in the club there. Bishop, as you can see, 5-star weak foot, 69 overall already. And also, guys, I'm telling you right now, there are some absolutely incredible players sat in the free agents. You can get some incredible deals, and these players are basically nothing. You only have to pay around £5,000-ish a week in terms of wages to bring them to the club, which is crazy. I was astonished and astounded when I found this guy, and yesterday, or tomorrow's episode, there's another player that we get in there who's just even better than that. He's only 1 overall better, but he's absolutely immense, and he's still around a similar age. So some of the big teams, or some teams, I guess might not be big teams, but certainly some teams have got these players through their youth academy and have let them go, or they've just for some reason been put in the free agents. So that's interesting, actually, the fact that some of the teams have let them go, or possibly if they've gone straight into the free agents. You know, and we've picked them up, and potentially, for the future, they could be some of the greatest centre-backs the world has seen, which could be interesting. If we can get them to a level in which they could be absolutely incredible here at Hartlepool, I'd be happy with that one. But you can see, we have one game coming up in this episode. It will be Swindon here. We are coming up against former opposition from last season. Of course, Swindon coming up with us, I do believe, from League 1, but I could be wrong. They could have already been champion. They could have already been a championship team, but I'm pretty sure we played them last year. I'm 100% sure we played them last year. But anyways, you can see there, very, very similar setup to what we had at the back end of last season. Unfortunately, Orsolini has gone, so it's, of course, new signings coming in the form of Luango as well. So a lot of the loan players have gone, but in terms of the front three, it's a very similar setup to what we had. And already, Bruno forced into a save 9 minutes in. Decent save. It wasn't too much to be asked on him, though. It wasn't really that difficult of a save to make, and he did just that. But then, it took us right until the 80th minute, and David Villa doing what David Villa does best. Gets there ahead of the goalkeeper, just taps that past him into the bottom corner, making it 1-0. It took us 81 minutes to find the opening goal of this game, and to find the real first chance in this one. Swindon had one in which Bruno made that save, but we went up the other end and managed to fire that one into the bottom corner. David Villa, again, picking up where he left off. Last season, of course, he hit something, I think like 29 goals with it in the league. So he's got 1-1 already here. And the probability of him getting into the top 5 goal scorers in the championship is still possibly very high, even at the ripe age of what he is currently at and only at 76 rated. So although he's at that sort of rating, and although he's decreasing, he's still banging in the goals for us. He retires at the end of the season, of course. If you watched yesterday's episode, you will know he's retiring at the end of his contract, which will be a bit disappointing to see. But at the end of the day, every dog has his day, and that means that Villa is, of course, thinking his must be this season to come. But he's been a great servant for us, and he will continue to be a great servant for the rest of this season. So that is where Riera Canadell comes into play, because as I mentioned, I want to get him into the position to be able to take over from David Villa long term once Villa does retire. And I said this last year, and I wasn't sure when Villa was going to retire, so it becomes even more important that Riera Canadell does not pick up an injury, A, and B, does what he needs to do in order to get himself to an overall in which he can replace Villa like for like straight away. His physical side of his game is fantastic already, so the only side I really need to improve on is his finishing, because it's currently down at, I think, 56 or something like that. Although he has scored a couple of goals for us, his finishing doesn't feel that bad in game, but if we can get him to a level in which he can be an absolute gem for us, he is going to be a long-term replacement and possibly a long-term striker for us. You can see as well, I'm going ahead and changing all of the kits over. As I mentioned a couple of episodes ago, I will be doing it once we had all the signings into the club. So I went ahead, basically sorted them out, and you guys can see what kit numbers I gave them and everything like that and stuff. If you are really interested in that, then of course you'll be able to watch this in detail. But I want to take this time, guys, because of course I don't want to talk about what kit numbers we're giving them. I want to take this time to just say thank you to every single person who is watching this video. Now, of course, when I started doing this 3 months ago, when I came into FIFA 18, or FIFA 17, why am I saying FIFA 18? FIFA 17, never, ever, ever did I think that within 3 months we would have a channel of 4,000 people on here. Let alone to hit that in the last month. You guys are mental. You guys are incredible for every little bit of support you show. You know, people tweet me nowadays. People leave comments and everything. And also, guys, I want to say about the comments, if I'm not replying, it's because I'm getting so many nowadays that it's becoming increasingly difficult to make the videos and then go on and reply to your comments. I'll try my best to reply to as many as I possibly can, but sometimes it becomes increasingly difficult. But again, I just want to say a mega thank you to every single person who watches my videos and supports what I do, liking the videos and stuff. It's really, really cool to see the fact that I have so many people commenting, leaving nice comments. I mean, you get the occasional ones that are just obviously, I guess, trolls and stuff, and I just try to sort of blank them out and not bothered about them. But the amount of likes and the amount of comments that are good just completely outweigh the bad ones. And it's so good to see that I have so many of you guys supporting and waiting for my videos to come out, especially when you're at a channel of 4,000 people. It's crazy. So I want to say a massive thank you to every single person out there who is watching this video. If we get it 30 likes on today's episode of the Road to Glory Career Mode, that would be greatly appreciated. So as always, guys, thank you for watching. I will catch you all with another video very soon. Adios.